Bem-vindos à entrevista. Olha, a gente tem uma abertura especial aqui. Isso aqui é um palco de stand-in, que eles chamam. E o pessoal da Warner me convidou pra vir a Los Angeles ver Shazam, Fúria dos Deuses, primeiríssima mão, e falar com o elenco do filme. Que honra. É muito legal estar aqui. Obrigado, Warner. Vamos ver como é que foi. It's showtime! You were saying it's
a cassette. I have a question actually. What's the difference between a cassette and an 8-track?
I don't think I'm that old.
Okay. What's the difference between a cassette and a rotary phone?
I don't know what's...
No, 8-track is
a
like
gramophone.
Okay, it's film that you
Yeah. I'm making.
Have you ever touched one of these, or
I have a few. I have a few of them actually.
It's not only that you something that you saw in Guys of the Galaxy, right?
Yeah, no.
So guys, there's a lot of talk about this new hierarchy of power in DC Universe, you know, Black Adam and Shazam and Superman. I want you guys to define who's on top right now at the DC Universe.
Oh, it's so easy.
Shazam.
Yeah. No one
Isn't
matches
it clear?
us. I mean, we're magic. If there's someone else out there that's magic, which we know who I'm talking about, he still doesn't. Our magic is superior.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
we
fair.
just have superior magic.
Also, we have a team of people with magic.
You have superior numbers.
We got a clan.
And superior numbers.
Yeah,
that's easy.
okay.
We'll take on anybody.
You got a point.
Exactly.
Electricity manipulation, hyperspeed, super strength. Dude, you're stacked!
So, Zach, there's a lot of talk about, you know, the new hierarchy of power in the DC Universe. A lot of guys, you know, statements, and, you know, let's settle this. What's the biggest power source in the DC universe right now?
Well, the biggest power in the DC universe is, I guess, David Zaslav, and right under him would be Peter Safran and James Gunn.
That's true.
And I'm really grateful for that, because I think they're good dudes, and I think they genuinely care about trying to build the DCU into something really formidable and strong. And then within the characters of the DCU, I mean, listen, man, Superman, Supes is always top-notch, always has been, always will be. Superman, he is the iconic character within DC. I will say that within the comics and cartoons and various things, Shazam and Superman are very evenly matched.
Right.
Very evenly matched.
You have magic, and that's Superman.
Exactly, which he's susceptible to, exactly. Yeah. But also, I can't die from anything but magic, and he's an alien, so he can't ultimately kill me. Black Adam is basically, Shazam's evil doppelganger, right? So he's also a very formidable power. So I don't know. I think that's why so many people were hoping for that animation that came out. I can't remember, somewhere in the 2000s, where Black Adam and Superman and Shazam, Captain Marvel, all having that. Superman and Shazam are tag team fighting on Black Adam, and it's awesome. It's so fun. None of us win in that. It's like it's an arms race to the bottom.
It's a stalemate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to sync your performance with Zach.
Yeah.
Right? You have to find the same character in there. Because you're a little bit different, but it's basically it's Billy's in there. And now you have Adam, right?
Yes.
So what was that for you guys to try to find your performance and match with their performance to find this one character between you guys?
I'll be honest with you, we kind of wing it every time. Like, it's kind of just like a subtle nod. It's
Not
like,
wrong.
we're like kind of like samurais or like Shaolin monks, Like, they're very disciplined and they don't speak much. They're just like, well, actually, I don't know much about samurais. I just know that monks, they take vows of silence. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll look at each other and we'll nod and we'll wink and maybe give a little subtle high five,
Right.
It works every time.
And then we like exchange our magic, and he does it. He steps in, and whew, I'm like, it's like I black out, and I like wake up, and I'm back in my body. It's crazy.
I should be wearing that t-shirt.
Can I ask the kids if they know what this is? They don't know.
Oh, they don't stop. They did. No.
Kids.
No, I'm totally starstruck right now because, Rachel, coming straight from the Mount Olympus of Hollywood, working with Steven Spielberg.
Yes.
Congrats.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Lucy, I'm such a fan since Ally McBeal. I wouldn't miss one episode. I'm Ally McBeal generation.
Yay.
Come on. And Helen, what can I say? One of my favorite movies growing up was Excalibur.
Great, thank you.
So,
yes,
right?
before digital effects. Yes, absolutely.
Or be in the presence of Hesper and Morgana. Would you know who would win in a fight between Hesper and Morgana?
That's a great question. I think Morgana would win. Yes.
Wow.
Because Morgana has no morality whatsoever.
Wow,
Hesper
yes.
has profound morality.
She is good heart.
She just, she believes believes in doing the right thing, whereas Morgana would break every rule in the book. She would cheat and she would lie.
That's an awesome question.
Yes, it's an awesome question. I'd like to see that. Yeah.
She knows the charm of making, right?
And she knows the charm of making.
Right.
Yes.
Call the dragon. Mend the sword. Speak the charm of making.
Yeah, that's very powerful.
Anna.
Anal Natrak.
Anna.
Oh, there.
Anna.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
his favorite
It's
movie.
been a while.
Sim, faz de conta.
Lucy, what I find so interesting on like modern day villains is that they're not just one-dimensional. I mean, they all have their perspectives on things. What is your point of view of the perspective of the sisters?
I think the sisters have a mission, and they want to save their world. And they come for the reason of that. That's what's the journey, and that's the intention. And I think her intention continues throughout until the end. And she sacrifices her sisters and her relationship with them for that. And I think it goes beyond avenging her father. And I don't know that it's about power. I think she's just so focused. And I think what happens when they kind of shun her and they don't come with her, it makes her that much more forceful in her intention. I don't think she loses track, but I think she goes too far in the way that she is trying to save her world by destroying another. And that revenge and that eye for an eye, it doesn't always work out.
We end this now.
We do.
So, David, I love that this is a movie about families, the Shazamily and the Daughters of Atlas, and you had to land this Fast and Furious joke right there.
Because we do even more with family than they do.
Right.
You know?
I've seen all of the Fast and the Furious movies, lady. It's all about
Family! Guys, that was a signal.
On your perspective as a director, do you have to run these jokes by like the legal department, and you have to ask permission, pay for it, royalties of Vin Diesel? How does it work?
Luckily, Vin Diesel doesn't get a cent from us. No, I mean, you can make fun of stuff like that without, yeah. I mean, sure, legal looks through everything, but you don't have to ask.
Right. Speaking of reference jokes, and you did something that you referenced yourself on the last movie, and I don't want to spoil it because it has to do with the post-credit scenes of the first movie where you get to see Superman without seeing Superman. You have an interesting story about this first scene, which is the seed of everything that you're doing, as this joke on this movie. Why didn't we see Superman's face in that movie?
Well, we were going to eventually, and we even shot like the scene. Yeah, we couldn't make it happen, but I think it still turned out pretty funny the way it did, when we just cut to black there at the end. It was disappointing at the time when we couldn't shoot it, even if it worked out nicely in the movie. But in this movie, we get to make up for it a little.
Oh, you worked it so well, man. It was awesome.
He's such a gooch slicker.
You start off like aligned, we have this, we wanted this is right. What we need to do, and then you see throughout the movie that they have different perspectives on
right.
On
I think all three of us really have different perspectives that we learned throughout the film. And I kind of feel like Hesper and Anthea kind of have an aside at one point where we were watching Calypso and being like, what are you doing? This is not what we were talking about in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And also she's got a soft spot for Freddy. And so I think Anthea also is kind of driven by that soft spot to kind of side with the Shazamily more so than her sisters. And she just kind of realizes that she doesn't have to necessarily do what her older sisters tell her to do. And as a younger sister myself, that's how it goes sometimes.
Would you describe this soft spot as like empathy of, because we can have a perspective on things, and if we lose empathy, we can lose track of, the damage that we're doing.
Exactly.
Right?
I think it's empathy, and I also think,
It's a human thing, isn't it?
It's humanity, but she's not supposed to be human.
No, she's not
so
supposed
it becomes
to be.
a betrayal.
She's the bridge between these gods and the human beings, and in between those two worlds, and that whole concept of as flies to boys are we to the gods, and the sense of the goddesses, which Calypso has to the nth degree, and Hesper to a certain extent, of being absolutely above it all. No, we flick that one, we pick that one up and throw him over there. And she she enters into the human world. So I think it's actually very nicely balanced.
Yeah, there's one point where we're connected and she agrees with me about planting the seed, right? And then she goes over to the other side. So, I mean, she's very clear about what's right. That's very interesting because even in families, that does shift. And I think that's wonderful that it's not just, it hasn't been like the two of you side against her.
Yeah.
And that shows, you know, it keeps the movie moving and changing, right?
What do you think, like a real life situation that you guys could like Shazam your way out of it?
Most responsibilities.
Yeah.
Like many.
Especially being teenagers.
Yeah, like all of the
If you want to have
responsibilities.
superpowers, we can do whatever we want. If we want to leave right now, we can leave. You know, we just bust through the ceiling. It's that easy.
Yeah. There's a storm a brewing. I should say that every time before I
say it one more time.
There's a storm a brewing. I like that.
You're in sync.
Really good.
We're good.
We're really good. This is why they pair us together.
Yeah, we should do Twins, the movie.
Exactly.
Speaking of, you know, of your life and real life situations, I remember seeing an interview with you guys before the first movie came out.
Yeah.
Because you were such high expectations of, wow, we don't believe this happened, it's such a dream, and then it's out there, and what's gonna happen? And now there's been 3-4 years, and now it's a new movie coming out. What happened afterwards in your life?
It's so cool. I mean, I really don't know how to emphasize enough how cool and lucky I am. I think a lot of it is luck. I don't know. I really don't know because I sometimes feel like I'm jinxing a lot of the things. Like I'm so grateful, dude. Like I really am. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, I think it's been just such a drastic change in our lives, and I feel like at the time we were so young, and this all kind of just hit us. Everything was just happening so fast. So I think I've soaked in it and I've really appreciated it, and it's just surreal. You know, it's something that I feel like you're never able to fathom something like this. You know, it's wish fulfillment. You know, to be in this kind of universe and to portray such iconic characters and tell their stories. So yeah, I mean, we're kind of living the lives. I mean, it's so 20 years old, 19 years old, and again to be in a superhero movie. So we're very thankful, and it's a blessing.
On the first movie, you had this dynamic between Freddie and Billy all the time. That both of them discovering the new powers, and now you have the whole family to shoot. There's a lot of people on set all the time. You know, how different was that?
It was very different and difficult. Because I mean, I've been saying that it's kind of like shooting like a little mini Justice League or Avengers movie or something, because you have so many superheroes and so many characters. Here we have not only like the adult superheroes, but we have the young versions, and we have the parents, and we have the goddesses. And it's just so many characters to just figure out how to shoot, but also you have to give every one of them their own little stories and their own little moments in the movie. But I think the balance worked out pretty well, but it is a challenge.
I mean, you also explored many mythological creatures on this movie, which was awesome to see. There's one particular creature, mythological creature, that you got this new spin on, and it was terrifying and awesome at the same time. How do you?
Yeah, I mean, they're not known to be terrifying. They're known to be more sort of elegant and nice, and it was really fun to do like the opposite of that, because I haven't really seen that in a movie before.
Right.
Yeah.
And tell me about the fact that the Daughters of Atlas, they are not exactly coming from this comic book source material. You can bring a lot of different aspects that is not based on comic books. So bringing out these new villains out from mythology instead of comic books, how was that decision made?
It was pretty early on when we were talking about that his powers come from gods and mythological beings. So it's like, well, what if the powers were stolen and they want them back? And to me, it's like, I think that's great because it gives the villains motivation that you can understand. Like, yeah, it's not Shazam didn't steal himself, but you can understand why they want him back. Of course, they don't go about it in a very violent and bad way, but I really like that, and it makes sense as well, because it's like, yeah, the old mythology and the old gods were sort of the original superheroes, so to bring them all together in modern day felt very natural.
I love that you've been so outspoken on mental health with your book and everything else. And I love that Shazam starts out on a therapy session. Yeah. And when you guys talking about imposter syndrome, I was like, that's me. That's me every day. Yeah. So I think it's cool that so many people could be an open window for people. I never thought of myself into that situation,
Yeah.
and maybe that's a way to reaching out to people. What do you think about that?
Oh, I love it. I mean, it was all very coincidental that they had written that scene. Had nothing to do with me or being like, maybe, I've gone through a lot of therapy. Maybe we should. But yeah, no, I love that, and I do think it's imposter syndrome is applies to everyone. I mean, every one of us, at least at some point in our lives, and maybe still even now, can struggle through that, and that's part of being a human. I think it's really cool and very. Appropriate that we get to start the movie like that, and Billy trying to figure things out in his own life. And if that helps anyone, even though I went to a pediatrician as opposed to an actual therapist, but you get the point.
Yeah,
the audience gets the point. And if that promotes anyone going and wanting to talk to a professional and dig deeper into who they are and how they're feeling, oh my gosh, what a blessing that would be.
And Ellen mentioned recently that you have brought so much to this character. That, I mean, she said, I didn't even contribute so much to my character than Zach contributed to Shazam. I mean, this is his vision, this is his personality. How do you think bringing yourself into, because we can see you talk in your other shows, and that's you.
I guess I wish I was a better actor because I keep just playing versions of myself. But yeah, listen, there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, sometimes you get to play a huge departure from who you are. But most of the time, you're playing a character that you're able to tap into some part of you, even a little bit of you, that helps bring it to life. It's no secret that I'm a man-child, or that I've held on to parts of my youth intentionally, because I think that there's something that's very important about us being able to still see the world and life with wonder and exercise imagination and also, sometimes have like ridiculous altruistic pie in the sky optimism where we believe that we can save the world and we believe that we can all get along, those types of things. That the older you get, the more jaded you become, the more you let go of. And I've always really fought to hold on to those, which has in turn, arrested my development a little bit and kept me a little bit like a kid inside, which then I can tap into and bring to this role. So there's a lot of me in there. And then there's the stuff that's not me that I just try to be as honest as I can in bringing to life in the movie. But it's so much fun to do. So I like losing myself in that character.
That was awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're great.
So nice to meet you, Dad.
Cool, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It was delightful 5 minutes.
That was nice to meet you.
Thank you.